Whose game is it?
Alabama! But to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo!
Here comes Alabama.
Here comes Alabama. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. This is the Bama Standard post-game show right off the heels of a 42-13 Alabama victory down in Baton Rouge. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, live chat. Come on, show up, show out. Let's celebrate together. This is our night. If you're watching replay, get down below, get in the comment section, show us some love there. I'm your host, Justin Riley, and with me is an all-star panel. Starting things out, he's from the final whistle and from the opening kick. A man who's celebrating not one but two wins today from both of his teams, Daniel Petty.
Woo!
And then right next to him is the star, or should I say superstar of Crimson Dynasty. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Cishi Payne.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
I knew you were going to say something slick.
Man, and just below her, we are graced with a 2002 All-SEC defender, a defender for Bills Mafia, a scout for Bills Mafia, one of the leading recruiting folks out in this entire land. He is also with the Bama Standard on Tuesday nights, regulating everything. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Smoke Dixon.
And opening kick on Mondays with my guy up top. The guy that got me right and told me that Ole Miss is going to beat Georgia. But anyway, we'll get past all that.
We might have to visit that before we get rolling. But listen, we got one more guy on this panel. He is the living legend. He is the star of the show and the reason everyone is coming in right now. He is an icon. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan James.
What's up? Big win and red stick.
And the best athlete in the James family.
Yeah.
I'm taking you over. I'm taking you over.
Starting early.
Best looking, best athlete. He's got it all.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. And
hilarious.
Chris was just what was left over, but hey, we still love him. That's right, folks. Alabama has gone down to Baton Rouge in a playoff elimination game and treated it like it was a homecoming, which is funny. It was a homecoming away from home. Whipped the Tigers 42-13. They never had a chance the entire game. Bama led all the way. Jalen Milroe was the star of the day. 12 of 18, 109 yards in the air. But really where he did the damage was running that ball like we've been screaming for how many weeks, folks? Yeah, a lot. 12 rushes, 185 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Alabama as a whole had 311 rushing yards today. We felt that was the key to victory, and boy, was it. Now, let's go around the room. What we like to do first is give our immediate reactions, why everything's still popping hot. So I'm going to start out with Daniel Petty, then go to Cishi, then down to Smoke, and then Dan James. Talk to me, Petty.
Man, it was just I felt like it was a statement. I think, man, I want to go back to the Missouri game. We all asked at the very end when the team kind of came out and made that final stand to keep the shutout, and then you saw Milroe hugging Womack. Was that kind of the moment where this team, it just kind of clicked and gelled? I don't know. I felt like they answered the bell tonight. But look, you know, all the criticism that came with, can Milroe handle the pressure of a road game? He looked composed and poised out of the gate. Alabama's game plan was to attack LSU's weakness, which was the run defense, and they did it superbly. And, I mean, Milroe he took over the game with his legs. Looked like the damn road runner out there just running around on LSU's defense. Just a great win. Hey, Baton Rouge, it's Tuscaloosa West, right? You go down, it scares a lot of teams. Hell, it melted the blue one up on my hat, but it sure as hell don't melt Alabama. When they go down there, like my boy Matt said last Tuesday, Bama players get off that bus and get hype. They feed off that, and I felt like you saw that tonight because from the opening whistle, Bama set the standard, punched them in the mouth, and didn't let them get off the mat, man. Just kick that ass. Kick that coon ass.
Sishi, how do you follow that up?
Oh Lord. Yeah, that's a good question.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, if I remember correctly, wasn't it Jihad Campbell that made a statement? It was 2 words that he said, violent intentions. And so that as soon as I heard that, I was like, yeah, so we woke up and chose violence. Like we knew when they talk about a quote unquote business trip, that's exactly what that was. They went down there, they handled business, and they played a full 4 quarters. That was something that I wanted to see, because you go back to our game against Georgia, we did play well, but we did not play a full 4 quarters. So I was happy to see that. I feel like, like everyone is saying, this is a statement game. But I feel like it has more to do with Alabama, right? Like us finding our identity, and even the coaches being more confident, because a lot of times when we talk about confidence, we talk about it in regard to the players, but not necessarily the coaches. And I feel like some of that confidence has grown with the coaches as well, and some of that camaraderie that they have with the players. And so I think overall, this is a statement across college football nation that you can have 2 losses, but you're still probably one of the best teams, in the nation. And I see, Petty with that Ole Miss hat. I said it on Crimson Dynasty this week that they would beat Georgia. You pair up a good offense just like Alabama and Ole Miss against Georgia, and they're going to take an L. So I'm happy. I mean, I didn't think we would lose at all. I knew we were going to win. I thought that LSU, coming off of a bye week and then right before that losing to Texas A&M on the road, I thought that they were going to, kind of try to stick it to us and make it a tough game. But I'm like, this is Alabama. I mean, we're going to find a way to win, so I'm proud of our guys.
Absolutely. Well, I love what you said in terms of what Jihad Campbell's mission statement was going into this game. We saw a little bit of it in the Missouri game when it was basically meaningless time. Well, the team was coming together. They were still playing hard. They were hugging each other. When Missouri was driving down the field to possibly score, the defense said, you know what, we're coming back on this field, the first team defense that is, and we're not going to give up this score. And from there, you kind of wonder, is this something that this starting new? Is there something forming within these guys that finally there is cohesiveness, there's chemistry, they're believing and fight for each other? Well, the answer is a resounding yes. It was through the entire night. Now, we were clanging and banging it against LSU every single quarter, but what really stood out to me, we're up 35-6. It's late. You got Jihad Campbell and the others still hitting hard like it's 6-6. That's what's been missing. The intensity, that want to, that we're going to make a statement every single play of every single down, regardless of what the score is. That stood out a lot to me. But I'm taking time away from Smoke. Smoke, talk to me. You had some concerns going into this game as far as how the defense, especially in the back end, would be able to stop or limit Garrett Nussmeir. How did that play out before your eyes, and did it match up with what your expectations were going in?
You know what? This is probably it is the most complete game that Bama's played all year. And on all sides of the ball, from offense to defense to special teams, they found their identity. When you talk about offense, like they figured out that they're not coaching Michael Penix, and they're coaching a dynamic runner in terms of who Jalen Milroe is. So let's use what his strengths are towards helping us win and be more productive in the run game. Jan Miller, I know the statistics didn't look gaudy, but he did no man's work. It was a blue-collar game today for the guys up front and also the running game. And when asked to pass the ball, Jalen Milroe did a pretty good job of that. And they just controlled the pace. They got the crowd quiet in the first quarter. They ran the ball. They eliminate any way of LSU coming back to win the game. And on defense, they did a really good job of changing the picture. What I mean by changing the picture, they show a pre-snap read to Garrett Nussmeir and then showed a post-snap read to him, which confused them all night with pressure right up the middle. And Jihad Campbell just helped himself to solidify himself as the number 1 linebacker in the NFL draft from what he showed tonight. And on special teams, they just did enough not to lose the game, because there was instances where there were big returns, but they did a good enough job to control LSU on special teams. So this is the most complete game that I've seen that Bama, from coaching to playing to preparation, ODK, heck of a job. Everybody gets an A from me in terms of grade.
Wow. Very well said. Dan, take the baton. Talk to us about what you saw, and then we're going to move into what our expectations were going into this game versus what we actually saw. But Immediate reaction. We can't close this segment out until we hear from the star. Talk to me, Dan.
Yes, I figured this would be a game that, we couldn't go in and try to, target Ryan Williams 20 plus times. We weren't going to try to, we weren't going to be successful doing that. That wasn't the winning recipe. I figured if we come in, establish the run, whether with Milroe with the running backs, we could win this game by multiple scores. And that's exactly what we did. And how about this swarm defense now? What are we thinking about it? It's much improved, ever since, I guess we played well the second half Tennessee game, but, they're starting to take shape. They're getting after it, getting turnovers, and we're taking care of the ball on the offensive side of the ball. So I think this team now is hitting its stride at the right time.
Absolutely. And, man, hats off to what Kane Womack did tonight. I know a lot of people were overjoyed with the performance against Missouri. And while I enjoyed what we did against Missouri, I had my doubts just because we were playing against a team in Missouri that was missing their QB1, missing their RB1, missing one of their starting wide receivers. So while we shut them out 34-0, you still kind of wondered, okay, should we be excited? Well, the answer is absolutely yes. I think we saw the improvements against Tennessee, even though we didn't come out on the right side of things. There's been upward growth week by week in that defense. So shout out to Kane Womack and what he's done. Love with the package that we saw tonight cannot be happier. All right, let's get just a couple of super chats. Thank you so much, folks, for giving us of your time and also the generous donations here. Let's go to Cubert 3343 $4.99. Bama Nation, we can show Jahad Campbell some love. He gets a lot of hate. Played his tail off tonight.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Jason Haywood, $5. Now that is the Bama standard. The job is not finished. We must keep this same intensity. Time to focus on Mercer. One game at a time. Absolutely. J.D. Long, $4.99. Now, what do all the Bama haters and Jalen Milroe haters?
He's been drinking. He's out celebrating.
Well, JD, we love the sentiment. Either way, we appreciate you.
Hell with them all.
Oh, he's saying now what? Sorry.
Yeah.
We got that general.
Yeah, now
what? Yeah.
Now what?
All the
The
Bama
emphasis.
haters. And I think that meant the Jalen Milroe haters. But we'll
man.
forgive.
I think he's talking to you. What? We all have been collectively hard on Jalen Milroe. I'll admit that. We just love him so much. You have to hold people you love accountable, right?
Right.
Eddie Rhodes, $100. Whoa, man.
Going to Sizzler after this.
I tell you what, we're gonna get state. Thank you so much. Good job, defense. Yes, the defense was definitely one of the stars of the show. Like Smoke said, it was all around great, balanced ball tonight, balanced play. Thank you so much to those who have given. And if anyone does give in the super chats, we will pause, but we'll get to them in between our segments. So, well, this is who I've been waiting for. Don Parker, the ultimate judge, jury, and executioner of this Alabama team. This team played to the standard, but more work ahead. Love seeing LSU supporter walk out of Death Valley. This team is more than capable of playing at this level, and that is what upsets me.
Love it, Don. Love it, Don.
I mean, I'll admit there is a certain level of frustration we talked about before we jumped on here, that we see the kind of product we put on the field tonight, and then you think to yourself, wow, this is amazing. We come out 42-13, but then you look back in retrospect, we could have been doing this all season, and we wouldn't be fussing right now and with our backs against the wall looking at elimination situations. But this is the hand we've been dealt. Whether it's self-imposed or not, this is where we are. We can only go forward, right? All right, next, expectations versus reality. Smoke, this is a segment where we like to take a look at what we thought going in, what our expectations were going into this game, then match them up with what played out before our eyes. And since this is your first time on the post-game show, I'm going to throw it to you first. tell me what your expectations were, your honest expectations were. Not that you'd ever deprive me of your honest thoughts, but tell me what your expectations were going in and how they match up with what you saw play out. Then jump up to Cishi, over to Petty, then back down to Dan.
Yeah, my expectation going into the game was, I mean, when those guys come out of a bye week, you hope that they like self-diagnose their team and understand who they are. And I think at this point, they finally figured it out. Like Jalen Milroe is not a drop-back quarterback. We are built, speaking of Alabama, to run the ball against a team that's one-dimensional. What I mean by that is LSU, they're really good at passing the football. And when you get a team on an inclement weather day and you can get after the quarterback, this is what's supposed to happen. You bleed the clock, you convert third downs, you score in the red zone, and ask that other team to play from behind. And it's tough to play from behind when there's inclement weather and that quarterback's under fire and he's not playing at his best game. So my expectation and reality kind of matched up. I saw a team that showed physical dominance, meaning Alabama, against an inferior team, against physicality. And when you're a passing team in inclement weather, there goes your struggle when you're playing from behind.
Well said. Cishi.
Yes. I mean, of course, I agree with everything Smoke said. One thing for me, my expectation was for us to go in there and score early. You know, this was a game where we can't sit up there and have, you know, of course, we got the ball first. So we can't afford to not score literally every time we have the ball offensively. And so what I noticed is that we were averaging about 4 yards or 4 minutes per play per drive. And I thought that was really good because one thing that I've been kind of paying attention to as far as just the wins and losses, even with other teams, is the time of possession. I think for us, it was about 34 minutes or something like that. And so to me, just that game control, I feel like we outcoached them and our coaches on both sides of the ball, including DeBoer, you know, they had a solid game plan and you could tell that, you know, LSU knew early on that they did not. And so I was pleased to see that, you know, we did have a balanced run game and passing game. And like one of you said earlier, you know, you look at the raw numbers and it may not look like Jam Miller and Justice did a whole lot, but they really did, you know. Right. And so but that just goes back to the importance of the run game. You know, I imagine had we not been running the ball like we did tonight, would that have been the outcome of the game? I don't think it would have been, or it would have been a much closer game. And so I think, you know, I feel like the Bama Nation, the ones that are in the locker room, the ones who are, you know, on the personnel side of things, they heard the outcry, you know, when it came to us playing South Carolina, barely beating them, you know, playing Missouri and finally realizing that the run game matters. So it was just a matter of tiring out their defense, running the ball down their throats. And just, you know, I noticed with Jalen Milroe, I expected to see improvements with him as well, because there was an outcry regarding him as far as his decision making. And I saw a huge improvement with him throughout the entire game. So I think that that's a really good positive sign for Alabama going forward, especially when we go to Oklahoma. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing as far as Jalen's confidence was finding the things that worked for him and what was going to keep him calm throughout the duration of the game, regardless of how crazy it got in those stands. It's all about playing within himself. And you said it, Smoke said it, Petty said it, Dan, you said it. That's how Milroe is able to take off and take over a game. And Petty, we talked about it before jumping on. We talked about it earlier today. The expectations for Jalen Milroe, how was he going to respond in another environment where it's very hostile? We saw him have a complete collapse against Tennessee. There was a threat of that possibly happening again. Then also you were concerned about starting off quickly, because that's been an Achilles heel for Alabama's offense for the past several games. And then also you look at the time possession. Alabama dominated that. Cishi, you made a very good point there. When we had the ball, we were holding on to the ball for a long period of time. And one of the best defenses is keeping LSU's offense off the field. And I feel like we did a good job of doing that. But Patty, I'm taking your time, but I know those were things that were concerns of yours going in. I don't know if not necessarily were expectations, but talk to me about what you were expecting coming in versus what you saw.
Well, I'll go both ways, offensively and defensively, because on one side, I feel like expectations were met, and on the other side, they were pleasantly not met. And I'll explain in a second. on offense, I felt like this was a matchup when looking at it, and that's why I talked this morning. I sent you a text that I feel like this is a game Milroe can take over, because this is LSU's got one of the worst rush defenses in the country, and if Alabama gets going downhill real quick, it can get out of hand. However, in the games where we've done that, it's a lot of big plays, and there were several big plays tonight. Hell, Milroe broke several big runs, but what you and Tishy just echoed was a criticism all year is sustaining drives and giving the defense rest and keeping offenses off the field. Absolutely, this was by far the best game as far as sustaining drives and keeping putting pressure on an offense to have to score every time they get the ball, because you've drained the clock and then they've got to do it quickly. It just takes an offense out of rhythm. So, I mean, but I did expect Alabama to be able to run. So they met that expectation. However, I expected Nussmeir to find Keon Lacey and some of the receivers and maybe put up some points and it kind of be a back and forth game. Now, when it gets to torrential rain and the ball's wet before it snaps, it does start to affect the passing game. But up to a certain point, it doesn't. But Bama's defense, man, the Vanderbilt game we always harp on, but that was Smoke really broke that down good when we were talking about it at the time. A lot of that was eye discipline. But if you watch tonight, eyes were in the right spot. Whoever was on the running back coming out of the backfield, that their coverages were in the right spot. It seems like you said, it takes time, man. This isn't just a microwave thing when you learn a new defense. You got to get comfortable with it. When offenses are looking completely different from week to week, you can get caught off guard. Like Smoke said, this is a week to week game now. It's a totally different ball of wax. But what you can take some heart in is the defense is slowly getting better within this defense. And I think tonight was just a culmination. I did expect LSU to score. That was one expectation. I kind of expected a shootout that Bama may win 35-32, to be honest. I thought that was the game we were going to get. Instead, it was Bama scoring and then shutting LSU down. So, again, that was a pleasant surprise that the defense, and that's the statement to me. I think this offense has proved all year that they can score at any time and can score in bunches. But can the defense be the lockdown defense that Alabama's fans are kind of used to? And, man, the last two games, they've answered with a resounding yes.
Love it. Love it. Dan, talk to me. I know there was an expectation that LSU was going to score and that we're potentially looking at a shootout. But here's the thing. You had the expectation earlier in this week that Alabama was not just going to win. They were going to lay the smackdown on that candy. Well, you know the rest. And it's funny, week by week, your scores maybe were not in the same area, but they were pretty close, pretty much being dead on. And here you are again. You called it. Alabama was going to win convincingly. So what were your expectations going in versus what you saw?
Yeah, my expectation was we were going to go into a hostile, loud environment, which we did. And the only way to combat that and to get Jalen Milroe, folks, is get him involved early. And with the quarterback run game, and Coach DeBoer, when he said it before the game, I was like, wow, this guy actually said, he said, we're going to run the quarterback. And he did it. It was kind of surprising me. I was like, wow, he actually said it. He said, we're going to run the quarterback. And he did just that. He did it to a tune of over 200 yards from Milroe. So it was crazy to see. He showed the explosiveness. A couple of weeks ago we were asking, is Milroe hurt? We wasn't seeing the explosive Milroe that we saw tonight. It's like the LSU defense was running in mud while Milroe running on turf. And man, I was pleasantly surprised, but that's what I expected, and like Smoke said, hey, the running back, that was yeoman's work from Jam Miller and Justice Haynes. They ran enough to where LSU had to respect it. And I knew we couldn't go in and try to spread the ball around in this type of environment. That was not the type of game for that. And how about Bray Hubbard? Another huge game from him. He continues to make plays, come in, the physicality. He come in, lay the lumber. That's a couple of big hits from a quarterback. But I think the secondary is growing up. You know, the linebackers are improving, much improving, and especially in the run fit. You know, on the first big run LSU had, you know, we just got out leveraged. You know, and we did a poor job of setting the edge, but you know, we got that fixed as the game went on, and you know, it showed in the end result.
Wait a minute, Dan. Hold on a second. You said that we actually made in-game adjustments. What?
Yes, we did.
In this economy? Man, I'll tell you, when it comes together, it comes together. Now, we would have liked it a little bit sooner, but hey,
All right.
in a situation like this, better to have it happen now than not at all. So thank you so much, brother. All right, before we get to the next topic, we have some more super chats to get to. Hubert, 3343, $1.99. Thank you. Don't forget, we missed Ryan Williams on a touchdown and E-Man. Well, I kind of attribute that to the weather conditions at the time. The rain was coming down pretty hard, so it's hard to grip that ball the way you want, and it's hard to bring it in the way you want. But nonetheless, the outcome is still the same. I'll take 42-13 over anything else any day.
Justin, I don't think he missed Ryan. I think Ryan dropped the football.
Yeah, he dropped. That was dropped. He hit him in both hands.
Yeah, I know that every Bama fan thinks this is the next coming of the greatest receiver ever. I think the young man's a good player, but that's a drop, and it's okay. You're in inclement weather, ball slick. You learn and you squeeze it, but that was a drop. E-Man was a miss, but Ryan was a drop.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And wasn't there one to Jeremy as well, Bernard?
Yeah.
Don Parker, $5. Expectation, this level of play, regardless of the opponent. Reality, room for improvement on the fundamentals and turn up the level of physicality. Don Parker always honing us in and keeping us humble for sure.
Okay.
Well, Smoke, I know we had only a limited amount of time with you. How are we on your time? Do you need to go, or do we still got you?
Man, listen, let's get to the next one. We're good.
Oh, man, I love to hear it. Love to have you on with us. All right, now here's something. What surprised us? Now, the score itself was a surprise. We expected a shootout. We expected to go back and forth. Two heavyweights, two titans of the SEC going after it. Well, that's not what happened at all, and we'll take it every day of the week. Matter of fact, I think your boy AC Carter spoke it into existence earlier this week. Smoke. He said lock the gate and don't let them out till you're done with them. And that's exactly what.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
That's Deuce at his finest. But yeah, that's him.
I tell you what, it made me want to put pads on and give a couple of downs after I heard that speech. If you hadn't seen it yet,
by yourself, my good brother.
Well, let's talk about the things that surprised us in this game. See, she started us out, then moved down to Dan, then up to Petty, then Smoke. What did you see that kind of took you by surprise?
Yeah, so I would say one of the first things is how quickly. So for me, I'm more of a numbers person. So I like to numbers. I see numbers, right? And so I like to compare them and all of that, even going back, looking at some of our previous games. And it's not necessarily an apples to apples comparison, but when I look at our game tonight versus when we played Tennessee just a few weeks ago on the road, and we had 15 penalties in that game, and just how quickly we were able to turn things around. You know, we quickly cut that in half when we played Missouri. And then even tonight, you know, we saw a lot less penalties as well. And so just in that regard, we saw how well the O-line improved because Milroe wasn't sacked. You know, that was something too, that was something too that we were so used to seeing. And it was a couple times where I honestly, I was just watching Milroe like, okay, what is he going to do in this moment? Because is he going to stay in the pocket too long? Is he going to start scrambling? Is he going to try to force it to Williams, or is he just going to run the ball? And that's why I said the decision making is something that stood out the most to me at first. But then when you see the penalties and you see LSU and how that was really affecting them, because it was the same thing when they played Texas A&M, that those penalties really started to get them and it started to kind of affect them mentally. But I would say the penalties, even our O-line with Milroe not getting sacked. And then also there were supposed to be over 100 recruits at the game tonight. And so, there's so much talk about Caleb Cunningham possibly flipping to Ole Miss, right, and all these other guys that were considering LSU. And so I know, like, you over there. Look, Petty over there offering free promotion. Like, dude, they
Dude,
should
everybody
be
was
paying
friendly
you.
with me till you made that comment, C. And then it's all fun and games is out the window.
No. I'm just saying. Like, I don't know. I feel like those are the big moments, right? And when you think about it, we had over 100 recruits when we played Georgia, and so those are those big games. Every game counts, of course, but those are those big games where you could have a guy who's literally on the fence, and he goes there and he sees LSU playing like that, and you see Brian Kelly reacting in the way that he did, and it was a complete mess. But I'm so proud of our guys, and I feel like the O-line, that's definitely a drastic improvement. Seeing Robbie Oots, helping to block and maintaining whether it's on the left or the right side. So I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. Yeah.
Don Parker says that he was surprised that this wasn't much of a game that he thought it would be.
There you go. I'm with you, Don.
I was a little surprised too, because my score prediction, I believe, was like 31-24. Not to discount anything from Alabama, but just because they just came off of a loss against Texas A&M, right? So
right. And then here's the biggest surprise, I think. Jay Odlin letting Milroe play his game was surprising. It's amazing what happens when you cater the offense to the skill set of your player, right? Man, wonders were work.
It's called coaching.
Yeah.
Call coach. That's right.
Well, damn.
18 passes, not 45.
Right.
It's called coaching. Keep going.
No round peg, square hole here. But Dan, you've already started chiming in. Talk to me about the surprises that you saw.
Well, I can't say I was really surprised. I was expected. But man, if I was to say something that surprised me, man, Parker Brailsford, man, wow. I didn't realize he was such a great run blocker that he is, man. I seen a couple of times where, a couple of pancakes. This guy is, I was really impressed. I came away really impressed. And I'm going to watch it again, see if I get some all 22 on it. But, man, this guy here, man, he really showed me something, man. He may be our top lineman. I just looking for surprises. I was really surprised. He kind of stood out to me.
Hard to argue that. Smoke, anything catch you off guard tonight?
What caught me off guard was just a lack of a competitive game. I thought LSU would at least show up. I mean, it's Death Valley, night game, 100 recruits, elimination game, playoff. You thought they would come out with a little bit more fire, a little bit more desire. And then when you look at it all year, I've been screaming it, not on this platform, but in the last few years, LSU's talent level has gone down significantly. I remember when LSU and Bama played, as an NFL scout like myself, that's a game that I would pull up and I'd want to watch. Not so much. I mean, the lack of talent on LSU's defense is shocking. Offensively, I think they're solid because the two tackles are NFL guys and the quarterback and the receiver. But what happened to the litany of players in the running back position, offensive line, defensive line, where when you went out there, it was a freak show. You saw avatar characters when you saw LSU's defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not so much. This is a beatdown. I mean, they didn't show up.
But Smoke, can I ask you something with your expertise? You know what?
But whenever someone says expertise, I'm waiting for like the letdown. So come on, give it to me.
No, it's not. No. It's a question regarding something you just said, because when you said you were surprised by the lack of competitiveness and more so on their side, and that they didn't have like that fire that we're used to with LSU. Do you feel like it was more so that they just lacked that, or was it every time they had a somewhat of a flame, we just blew it out?
I think two things can be true.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know that Alabama came out and they brought the fight to them.
Yeah.
But very rarely do you see an LSU team at nighttime like cower down and don't fight back. And I didn't see any fight back. You didn't see Bama go down the field and have Milroe is a dynamic runner of the football. Like, he was going to make his plays. Understood. Just like Nussmeir, you'd hope, and Lacey would make theirs. And you'd go down to the fourth quarter with 2 or 3 drives left in the game, and that would be the deciding factor. You could have grabbed the clicker or remote control or whatever anybody calls it, and in the third quarter, turned it off and got up Sunday morning, went to church and been perfectly fine with the results because the game was over by then.
Wow, you bring up a very good point. There were several times throughout the game that I thought that, well, okay, this is when LSU is going to put something together. This is when they fight back. This is when they hit us in the mouth. And I kept waiting, and I kept waiting. The clock just kept tick, 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 and it never happened. I guess you can call it lack of pride, and that's just something that's not been synonymous with the LSU team in recent memory. But man, how things have changed.
Yeah, that's 2 games, Justin, that in the last 6 quarters, I mean, they look like a below 500 team. You look at the second half against A&M, and you look at all 4 quarters against Bama, and you're in your mind, you're asking yourself, you had the perfect opportunity to put yourself into the playoff conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the effort that you're going to come out with, yeah, you got to go home and you got to check your pulse and see if you're alive, if you're a competitive athlete or competitive staff. Bama didn't. LSU had to.
Patty, you're the last to speak on this. What surprised you? Does it echo what we've said already as a panel, or is there something a little different maybe we didn't notice?
It echoes, but I'll dive deeper because it is. I expected LSU to be able to score. I mean, look, Missouri was a broken down car when they came into Bryant-Denny. That wasn't a good offense, so it really wasn't the best litmus test for the defense or the secondary. And then you're going to LSU where, look, they just replaced NFL receivers with NFL receivers, and Kyron Lacy is absolutely an NFL receiver. And prior to him scoring that 13-yard touchdown in garbage time at the end of the game, he had 4 receptions for 60 yards. And I was trying to watch him throughout the game because early on, Damani Jackson was shutting him down, and I was wondering, was it one guy that's just lighting him down? And actually it wasn't. They were moving Kyron all over the field. They had Lacy in the slot, and you would see him on drags where you would have him bracketed with the safety and the offside corner. I thought Alabama, given again the heat that Womack and the defense has taken, they knew taking Lacy out of the game, and LSU doesn't have much of a running game. You stop the run, you take out Lacy, and you beat LSU pretty much because Nussmeir doesn't have much else to go to. And I did really hone in, and it was just, I thought they had an amazing package for Lacy tonight because, again, LSU tried to put him all over the field to get him in mismatch positions, and they never could do it wherever they put him. So I was absolutely surprised that Alabama was able to shut down, a player of Lacy's caliber who's had, guys like that. Just, Smoke will tell you, guys that good are going to make plays regardless of who they're playing because they're players. And Bama just shut his ass completely down tonight.
Well, not just Kyron Lacy. I'm surprised that we shut down Mason Taylor, a guy that has plagued us for the past 2 years. And then also you got Aaron Anderson, who has been coming on strong as of late. He was a non-factor. I forgot he was even playing tonight. So what a strong statement. We keep using that word throughout this episode here that Alabama made tonight, taking out LSU's weapons, and they had them. They just were a non-factor.
Well, Justin, can I just piggyback on that real quick? Now, let me put my coaching hat back on. When you're playing just a one-sided game, meaning all LSU can do, and they can do more than that. But what they chose to do was just dive deeply into their pass game. When you have 2 NFL offensive linemen, you have to find a way, and they have capable running backs, so they got good athletes back there, to run the football to be somewhat balanced, irregardless of what your strengths are, just to make sure that you have Ken Womack digging his bag of tricks, defend more than just a pass game that you show to him. So it was not really more of on the players. Yeah, as a coaching staff too, you got to find at least go 60-40 in terms of run pass, or 70-30, not just 80-20. And the game wasn't out of hand that bad early on. They just never really stuck to whatever the game plan was when they came in.
I agree with you. Got a super chat real quick from Kevin Salter, $1.99. We greatly appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Let's switch on to our next segment, positive and not so positive takeaways, where we look at every aspect of this game. Smoke, I'll let you go first. I know you have to go after this, so I want you to speak what you've got here. And then when you wrap it up, tell folks how they can find you, because I know you got many fans outside of here.
You know what? I don't, man. I'm just trying to get some more likes, follows, and all that. I'm trying to get up in everybody else's category. I'm down at the bottom, man. But you know, what I'm taking away is just positive. Is just how Bama played a complete game, and how they responded to myself and everybody else that's doubted their ability to go in with a sound game plan and stick to it. Meaning, run the football, run it effectively, and find ways to create explosive pass plays throughout their many athletes, from K. Law to Ryan Williams to C.J. Dupree to Jam Miller out the backfield. I came away from this game saying, ha, Bama's offensive staff has finally figured out that there are more players other than number 2, Jalen Milroe, on that offensive side. They got 5 guys up front that can block. They have a tight end that can do both in the run and pass game with C.J. Dupree. And they got enough guys outside to make sure that they don't play one-handed, meaning just passing the football. And not so positive takeaway, I still want to see Bama dominate more up front in terms of creating more havoc in terms of pass rushing. And I'm just saying that knowing that they don't have the players to do it. And I'm just finding something to just nitpick at. I don't think they have a dominant pass rusher, but they have done enough effort and second effort in terms of pass rushing to create enough pressure on the quarterback to move him off that platform. But I just, inside of me, you're just begging for one guy that can close games out, and we just don't have that guy right now. But shout out to Coach Womack for finding a way to how to confuse Nussmeir into believing that he's seeing something, get guys in and out of the line of scrimmage, and apply some phantom pressure on them.
Absolutely. Well, Smoke, we greatly appreciate the time that you have granted us. Tell folks how they can find you, and then we'll let you hop off.
You know what? I need to do this post-game thing more often, man. You guys have really good vibe and a good chemistry on there. I just came and just screwed it all up. But listen, you can find me on X on Coach GV Dixon. And on IG, Smoke GV Dixon on IG. Listen, I'm just trying to find as many as Daniel, man. And Petty, I know you got you got the blue check and everything already. You got to tell me how I feel. I don't want to sit and even talk about what the queen of the show has going on her social media.
Yeah, you probably don't want to.
Nah.
Yeah, you probably don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, you listen. When they ask about who's the best on there, I just go ahead and I just single-handedly just put my head down and said, "You're the one. You're gonna have to show me how to do this thing," and the mop and like taking advantage of the social media game. But I appreciate you guys letting me come on and get out of my rut of Alabama football. Proud of those guys tonight. Celebrate this 24 hours and let's get back to pounding Mercer next week.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All
We appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
Anytime.
All right, brother.
Take care.
All right, be good.
Be good. All right. Always glad to hear from Smoke and have his input, but we got some more show. I think for me, the not so positive takeaway was one, Devontae Smith. We don't know how long he's going to be out. He suffered an injury and went down late in the game, and then Q Robinson. We haven't had that powerful edge rusher that we are accustomed to in recent years, but Q was really doing his job. And this season, he's probably been one of the brighter spots and the most consistent spots on that defense. And he was able to manipulate LSU to his liking tonight. I was really impressed with what we saw from him. And we thought he was going to be an X factor. Now, what the positive takeaway, the injuries happened, but those who stepped in for those guys did not have any drop off whatsoever. Deshaun Jones comes in and he played a phenomenal game. I think there may have been one play where he wasn't in the right place, but it wasn't detrimental. But the young guys who came in and were called upon during a time of war responded greatly. But I'm going to turn it over to you. CG, talk to me about the positive takeaways and not so positive takeaways you have from this game. Then we'll go to Petty, then Dan.
I would say one of my key positive takeaways is like over the last few weeks, a lot of the sentiment from the Alabama fan base is that we don't know how to adjust. And I feel like we did that, but it wasn't just after halftime. It was, the entire game. I feel like our game plan going in was an adjustment in and of itself, being that we were, focused primarily on running the ball and having like a solid game plan on both sides. So I feel like that notion of can Alabama really, adjust? I think that they answer that question. But another thing too is that we had 0 turnovers. Link, yeah. Let it no.
What?
Well, I'm just saying. I'm just telling y'all what Lake's stand for. I know they want to say we're gonna let all the naysayers know. Okay, we'll let all the naysayers know. I mean, I feel like we did.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But yeah, I mean, our 0 turnovers to their 3. Like that's huge. That's huge, especially in a game like that, because in a matchup like an Alabama versus LSU at LSU, a lot of the errors tend to be mental to where you do end up having a turnover, and so I was proud of them for that. But then when we look at the not so positive, one thing that stood out to me is that what I noticed is that we were out of timeouts with 11 minutes still in the second quarter. And one thing that I always think about is like that game management overall. Of course, sometimes in the second half, it may matter a little bit more, but even in the first half, because I always think of, the coach that's able to control the clock a little better or better altogether, that's the one that usually comes out with the W. And so that kind of early on, that kind of threw me off when it seemed like the guys were kind of unsure, of the play calling possibly. But I mean, we were out of timeouts with 11 minutes still, left in the second quarter. So that kind of threw me off, but I still believe that, overall we did well. I do want to see us utilize more receivers, though. I know that maybe tonight wasn't necessarily the game for that. I'm glad that we targeted Kendrick Law a lot because he's from Louisiana, and I feel like that, that was good for him. I'm still wondering, Caleb Odom, I wanted to see him tonight. I feel like we could have seen him get some targets and get solid reps in a big game. Kobe Prentice, where was he? I mean, he's not injured anymore. I just don't understand why we're not seeing those two, Milroe and Kobe Prentice, connect. So, I still want to see more in terms of the receivers. Maybe we'll see more of that next week, I'm thinking, and then at Oklahoma. So more so positive than negative, though.
Absolutely. Christian Hughes has a very positive takeaway. This is a guy that we've been heavily criticizing the entire season. Agent Zero showed up and showed out. Deontay Lawson. Mm-hmm. He was one of the pivotal players in this game, him as well as Jahad Campbell. I had an absolute clinic tonight. Players stepping up at the right time in the right moments. That's how you win championships. And tonight, got to give it to Deontay Lawson. All right, moving on. Dan, positive and not so positive takeaways, sir.
Definitely positive is, I like the, 10 of 13 on third down conversions. You know how you get that? By running the dang ball. That's what we've been clamoring for. We keep ourselves out of third and long situations. Not so positive, grasping at straws again. But, I would like to see us either get on the center or get in the pistol formation on short yardage situations. I don't want to see us in the shotgun with the running back beside Milroe, because it causes the running back first move to be lateral, and that's why we're not getting pushed on short yardage situations. And I want to get the running back downhill. And the only way you do that, you get on the center or put them in the pistol formation. On short yardage situation, that would help tremendously with that. But other than that, can't be too picky. Tremendous win on the road. And CC, like you were asking questions about the Kobe Prentice. This wasn't the game for that.
No.
To try to get guys, considering the weather and the environment, this is not the type of game where you want to get people involved. You got to be who you are and go with your strengths. Especially early in the game, and you got to ride that out. And that's exactly what they did, and that's why they were able to be dominant.
I love it. Petty, you're the last, but your voice is heard through many a channel and many a living room every week, and people come away changed. Talk to us, man.
I don't know if it's for the better. Man, all week, I'm going to go to the link. I'm not the biggest fan of the whole link thing, but I'm going to use it right now because all week you heard two themes for my hat and my shirt right now. One is that Ole Miss doesn't win the big game. Lane Kiffin chokes in the big game. They don't ever win it. And that's justifiable. And then the other was Milroe melts under the lights of opposing stadiums that are loud and raucous. You know, they brought up A&M on him his first time he stepped on the field when he took over for Bryce. They bring up the Tennessee game where, it looked like the eyes got a little bit big at times. And then in the opening play of the game, you get a false start and you're like, crap. But man, I always love to see when the camera goes to the quarterback's eyes in these moments. And man, they went to Milroe's eyes and they were steady. And it just, that was my positive takeaway. Was all week you hear this, you know, the naysayers that you can't play under the lights in an opposing stadium. And now you're going to what is widely regarded the wildest of them all. And, you know, both programs today made statements to, you know, Ole Miss stepping up and absolutely dominating Georgia. And then I get to turn on Alabama. And from the opening, just the opening bell beating that Tiger ass was just awesome. It's just not hard to have a bad takeaway when you dominate a game like that. Sure, maybe look at the no sacks. You want to finish, maybe get his ass down a few times, but still the defense played great. You don't want, I mean, hard to, you know, you're really nitpicking when on a game like tonight. Of course, you don't, maybe not give up the garbage touchdown or whatever, but man, on a night like tonight, I'm not taking any negative takeaways from such a dominant performance on the road. You've had so many doubters in a season of doubt. You know, you went and showed the nation that on any given Saturday, this program can win a national title this year still. So, I mean, this was we're still in this national title race. We're still freaking Alabama night tonight. So that was the positive takeaway. No negative takeaways tonight. Kick that Tiger ass.
But yeah, not only was Smoke wrong coming into both games, but your boy Tyler Siskey was wrong as well.
Well, he had one right and one wrong. And, man, I was following him. And, man, I was starting to listen. I was like, man, LSU. But I couldn't get past the fact that, I watched both these teams that I'm wearing right now pretty deeply. And I watched Ole Miss go down and handle LSU and just hurt themselves. And I knew that if Alabama went down and didn't shoot themselves in the foot, which Alabama, I said it all throughout the week. I think Alabama has a different, I'm sorry, I feel like Alabama's made of different cloth than the rest of college football. And you heard Matt Caddell talk about it. When Alabama gets off that bus in Death Valley, it's a different vibe. So I don't know, man. I felt all week like Alabama was going to go down there and do what they did, man. I like I said, I wish CC wasn't on here. I got to cheer for those bastards.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
CC, can you earmuff? Can you?
No, what were you gonna say?
I just got to cheer, but I feel like you need.
No. Say it because I think I've heard you say it before in my mouth.
No, it's not the purple shirts. This one's. Hey,
No. We can't sing that one.
Don't do it.
Don't do that one.
Suck that Bama.
No.
Oh my God. What?
You gonna get us
Petty.
canceled.
I won't get us kicked off Twitch. I stopped.
Do they actually say that?
That's the LSU.
You not know their cheer?
Yeah, that's that's one of LSU's
Suck
cheers. They'll
Tiger.
say, expletive. They say that in the stadium.
And all that.
That is disgusting.
Which also, my
Did
man,
you not watch Game Day?
I don't listen to them. I have no desire to hear what they have to say.
McAfee did it on McAfee. Had them doing it on Game Day this morning.
He had to do it on Game Day. Yeah.
Ew.
So
They are
suck that
raunchy.
Bama.
Okay,
That's
so
why they got
coming
beat
back
up
to
like
this-
that. Ew.
Come back to
What's
this
wrong with
game.
them?
Let's reel it back in. Let's move away from that.
Like I said,
Betty.
Positive takeaway. One of the things I think that
gosh.
really hurt us against Tennessee was that Tennessee gave us a plethora of opportunities to put the game away early. We had 3 turnovers. We didn't capitalize off of them. They had 2 missed field goals. We didn't capitalize off of them. I felt coming into this game, it was pivotal that when LSU gave us those opportunities that we needed to capitalize off of them. And the thing is, we did. Every opportunity given to us, we got points off of it. That was one of the big differences in the game. So hats off to Alabama for correcting mistakes or lessons learned from Tennessee. Before we move on, we got to give a shout out to one of our big sponsors. Listen, folks, your game day celebration is not complete unless you're waving in the air your very own title towel. And you're asking yourself, how can I get this amazing towel that Dan James is showing so eloquently on the screen? Well, here's the answer. Go to www.whitwillsports.com today. Enter the promo code STANDARD. You get a nice discount courtesy of your favorite network. That's right, folks. Grab your towel to celebrate this victory, but also carry Alabama to victory every week for the remaining games of the season, especially over there, that haunted hayride that is Auburn.
Yeah. They raggedy stuff. Just raggedy. Don't they have a bye week this weekend? For what?
Well,
What that's gonna do?
They had a walkthrough practice today in the bye week, and I hear they lost.
I'm sure they did.
All right. Moving forward, this is what we like to do as we kind of wind things down. Bama going forward. What now? You know, we put this topic up before we knew the outcome of the game. We didn't know what direction we were going to go. But now we see that we're going in the right direction. This week, we celebrate the victory, but next week we got Mercer, and let's just go ahead and call it what it is. It's not exactly the most scary opponent out there, but it's still an important game. We got to play our game, and more importantly, we got to come out away from that game healthy. So going into this game, how do you feel? And then how's it set up ultimately for this trip to Norman, which it could be kind of difficult. I know Oklahoma's not playing their best ball right now. They got a lot of things going on that's not in their favor, but we're beat up. We saw two of our best players carted off the field tonight, they were off the field. This is the part of the year when that starts to weigh in a little bit. And when you go on the road in a dangerous place like Norman with what's on the other side of that, and that's Auburn, it could be difficult. But what's your feeling? What's your comfort level going forward? And after you all answer this, I got a big question to kind of bring this home. But start us out, Cishi. Talk to us about your comfort level with Alabama right now after a huge monumental victory over LSU. Then move to Dan, then Patty.
I mean, I just feel like I see they're talking about the raggedy Auburn that we like to say in the chat. No, I'm still on that January Atlanta trip, national championship. I mean, I called it before the season. I don't know how we're going to get there as far as like what all needs to happen. But one thing that, we talked about on Crimson Dynasty, Dan and I, this week is that we had a feeling that Miami would lose to Georgia Tech, right? And of course, you don't want to be on the outside looking in. You don't want to have to wait for other teams to lose so that you can become, part of the discussion. But it just is what it is, right? So you have Miami lose, then you have I think what BYU is struggling right now. You have Georgia lose, and that was Georgia's second loss. And when we talked about that this week on Crimson Dynasty, some people didn't quite understand why we wanted to see Ole Miss beat them. But when you look at it in terms of even the SEC championship, for example, we beat Georgia. We both have 2 losses, right? Georgia loses to Ole Miss, but then Tennessee has to go to Georgia. And I have a feeling that Georgia will probably beat them. So I think when everything plays out, we all end up with 2 losses for the most part. I still feel like Alabama comes out on top. I do think that we still need to kind of keep the main thing 1-0 every single week. I mean, even with it being Mercer, I feel like that's a good game for us some of the guys to get valuable reps. So maybe if, Milroe might have had some somewhat shaky chemistry with certain guys, then that would be a good game for him to kind of work those kinks out. We should be able to see Richard Young get more touches because he's going to be elite. I think it's a good opportunity. Of course, on the road at Oklahoma, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get. I believe they fired their offensive coordinator a couple weeks ago, and so they have things that's kind of shaken up over there. But I definitely think that Alabama can go all the way. I just we talk about it, like I said, on Crimson Dynasty, there are still quite a few notable games that still have to be played. I believe it's only just a couple teams, Oregon, possibly, I think BYU, and maybe one other team, Iowa, perhaps, that are still undefeated. Other than that, that's just how the game ends up. So, on one side, I'm glad that the playoff was expanded to 12 because a lot of people were whining and crying last year about that. But then you see the Florida States where they did all that crying, and then, they're mean. I'm just saying.
Every time a Florida State score rolls across my screen, Cici, I can't help but think of you and your interactions.
Why?
You and your interactions with one Booger McFarland.
Yeah, we
Oh,
stand in
gosh.
the playoffs for them, and they still won't make it.
I know with their raggedy self. They just, I mean, Booger McFarland stood up there like literally passing boxes of Kleenex to Florida State fans. You have their governor, Ron DeSantis, so focused on, oh, I'm going to donate $1 million to like fight this. Sir, you need to be worried about that $500 million y'all are going to have to pay to get out of the ACC. Like, let's talk about that first. Like, y'all are worried about the wrong thing. And you only won one game this entire season. Really, y'all pay for all those players to come to Florida State, and then y'all didn't do anything. You didn't left the continental U.S. of A at the beginning of the season. You took your behind out there. Was it Ireland?
Dublin. Yep, Dublin.
Yeah, you went out there to Ireland and got molly whopped. Like, y'all, who did they beat? What was the one win that they had?
Oh, the one win was who was it?
Was it Cal?
And hell, they ordered a quarterback and got a ukulele.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And Cal is the same team that beat Auburn, right?
Oh
Right.
yeah.
So you have the two raggediest schools that be having the loudest mouths and barely get. I mean, they don't even have y'all. They don't have 5 wins collectively, right?
They're not bowl eligible collectively. You're right.
I mean, like
Wow.
the jokes write themselves. I'm just saying, they're just loud and just wrong. Like, please sit down and be quiet. Like Norvell, all that money y'all spent getting them players like Roydell, I'm sorry. He's the only one. Roydell Williams, I'm sorry. Like, I feel bad for him, but the rest of them, no.
Norvell got to feel like Jerry Jones right now.
Just raggedy. It'll be so loud. It got 1 win. Like, why y'all even going? What you mean you playing an away team? Stay your behind at home. Don't waste that money. Just ew.
Well,
And
before
the fans
Dan
still
goes,
showing up.
we got a nice little comment here from Last Call Comedy. What's the difference between LSU and a dollar bill? You can still get 4 quarters out of a dollar bill.
Oh gosh, that's true. That's true.
Dan, going forward, talk to me. How's Alabama got you feeling?
Yeah.
And how far can we ride this train?
Yeah, because we're already in the playoffs because every week is an elimination game for us. So as long as we maintain that intensity, we'll be fine. I think we're hitting our stride at the right time, and which is a good thing. You want to be playing your best ball later in the season, but the injuries, that's something you don't want to see, especially coming off a bye week after you got your rest and everything. So we got another I don't want to say, Coach Saban used to hate those, little cupcake game, but so we can try to get healthy another week. But I don't want us to lose this intensity, but because we still got to go to Norman and we got the Iron Bowl looming.
Iron Bowl.
Let's focus. Let's maintain intensity.
Ew, they get on my nerves. Like, please don't mention that. Why are they coming to Tuscaloosa? Like, that is disgusting to have their raggedy behinds, them trailing up there in their little dusty buses with, keep them L's in Auburn. They y'all don't understand. Auburn literally disgusts me. Like, every time y'all mention Iron Bowl, they have no right to be in Tuscaloosa with their L's.
We need to play them in Legion Field.
I know. hey, take them down to Montgomery and play at Crampton Bowl.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Play them at Crampton Bowl. Like, y'all wish y'all could. Don't come over here with that. With your dusty self. Like, oh.
Petty, your sentiments? Going forward?
How I back Miss Payne up on that.
Oh, no. They're so disgusting.
Now, Cici, I will say this. I thought y'all were all wanting Ole Miss to win because y'all love me. I just thought it was some petty love. Okay,
look,
I get it.
I can't tell if you're an Alabama fan or Ole Miss fan, Petty. Like, which
both.
one? No.
I'm both.
No.
I'm both.
Oh, no.
I may be a little more one than other, but I'm both.
I know.
He's BOF, both.
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 Look, expectations. Look, you did what you were supposed to. This was the one. You win this, and you set yourself up to ensure a playoff spot as long as you take care of business. I do think, if this season's taught us anything, don't be a dumbass and take any game lightly because anybody can pop you. Sure, Oklahoma's got a lot of injuries, but they're finally kind of figuring out that Jackson Arnold's their dude. They're going to ride with him. He's not bad. He's mobile. Oklahoma's got a good defense, so they can kind of muck it up. But let's be real. Bama just proved in a more raucous environment against a better team that they were better. So if you take care of business, it's all about setting up for the playoffs now. You want chaos. You want I need to throw my hat off for that one, man. I don't know how much confusion's going on there anymore. But yeah, you just now it's time. I mean, with everything that's going on, BYU's about to lose, or they're on the ropes. It's 21-10 at the start of the second half. You know, there's a good shot you're hosting a playoff game in Tuscaloosa. I think you can do it without going to Atlanta. I would rather not go to Atlanta and still try to host a game if possible and not waste that extra one and you know, go to Atlanta for the big one at the end. But no, take care of business. Treat every game, even Mercer. I saw someone in the chat say they're 9-1. Who fucking raw? Sorry. I mean, it's Mercer. I mean, it's Mercer and Auburn. It's Oklahoma is the one kind of worry. But take care of business and hopefully get ready, get right, keep getting better as a defense, keep gelling, play for shutouts. So when you go into the playoff, hopefully you're hosting someone. And man, let's get ready for a run, because I saw two teams today that made statements that they can absolutely play for a national championship. Two of them, because I mean, look, you go down to Baton Rouge and beat that ass like that. That's something, man. I don't care. That's a big freaking deal. And I know they got the garbage. That's 42-6 game. You didn't give up a touchdown until it didn't freaking matter in Death Valley. That's God, man. That wasn't shutting down half-ass Mizzou. That's shutting down LSU in their backyard. So I don't know, man.
Started back out there.
Yeah, just take care of business, man. Get healthy. Joyless murder ball. Get Young in the second half, all the carries. Ty in the second half, all the carries, and then go take care of Oklahoma and get ready for this playoff run. I mean, I don't know. Tonight was the night. Tonight was the biggest. Look, everything's a playoff, but I mean, there's not LSU on the schedule going into it at this point. So you took care of the biggest demon tonight. Now just take care of yourself, and everything's gonna be okay.
All right. Before I get to my serious questions, got a couple of super chats to get to. We got Kenneth Lamar, $2. LSU fans literally throwing trash on the field.
What else they gonna throw? That's all they got, and that's all they are. Carney trash. Carney corn dog trash.
Y'all think they're going to get fined?
They should.
Yeah.
They absolutely should.
Guess who they get to pay? Alabama.
Don J, $1.99. Bama fans took over their trap and saying bye-bye. Thank you so much. And then Don Parker, $5. Please don't disrespect Montgomery or Crampton Bowl with the thought of that raggedy haunted hayride known as Auburn playing there. Please.
Yeah, they wouldn't be welcome in Montgomery. Not with that.
You're right, P.
Crampton Bowl, good Lord.
All right. So got some serious questions here. Kalen DeBoer, year one. Every new coach or every coach during his tenure is always looking for that signature win. Tonight, I felt like was a signature win for Kalen DeBoer, year one. What does this victory tonight ultimately mean for him? Start Sishi, then Dan, then Petty, and then I got a really good question.
Yeah, I feel like that question, that was a question from a lot of commentators when we beat Georgia. And I feel like that was one of the kind of like a wait and see moment. Like, okay, is that really what they're about? And then it kind of went downhill quickly after that. But then the fact that to me, this was more so confirmation that is who we are. You know, we just had some kinks to work through. And now, you know, the guys, you know, we found our identity and they feel comfortable. I feel like they're comfortable with the play calling. And like you said, because when we go back and think about, you know, when we had Jalen Milroe under Tommy Rees, it seemed like Tommy Rees was trying to kind of make him play a certain way or be something that wasn't true to who he is. And when you see how the offensive play calling is kind of tailored to his strengths, if you will, and that just that trust that you kind of see between him and DeBoer and Sharon, and at least to me, it's noticeable. To me, it's just, you know, confirmation that what we saw against Georgia, that was real. It was just, one of those, because I started hearing people say, well, maybe this is an Alabama team, or maybe Jalen Milroe can only show up in those bigger games, the ones that are expected to be statement games, and that's just not who we are. And I think that, this just solidified that it is. So going forward, I mean, they tried to downplay our win, our blowout over Missouri. And, because of that, because, all the injuries on Missouri side, they didn't think that, we could come out with a W today. But I'm like, I mean, it's the Bama standard for a reason. They're watching us, right? I mean, they can say what they want, but, they're still watching.
Absolutely.
Dan, year one. What does this victory tonight mean for Kalen DeBoer? And then Petty will wrap it up. And
You're
sir,
muted.
you are muted.
He has set an expectation that, we can go to Baton Rouge and dominate, So, going forward, that's what we expect from Kalen DeBoer coach team, to be able to go into Baton Rouge and show up and compete, every year. He's proven it in year one that he can do that. He proven in year one that he can play with the big guys, So, hey, he's proven, and he's I would say he probably exceeded expectations, other than a couple of setbacks. But he's done a tremendous job, re-rallying the team, circling the wagons. So we're expecting big things from Coach DeBoer going forward. He's getting acclimated to the SEC. Every week is a battle. So he's learning that. So it's no off weeks in the SEC. So I think he learned that lesson as well. So going forward, coaches develop too, just like players develop, coaches develop. So, and I think that's what we're seeing.
Petty?
Yeah. God, I had a thought, and then I was jumping around on them, and I forgot what my biggest one was. But look, he's now beat in year one Kirby Smart, who is considered the best coach outside of Nick Saban in the SEC. He's now beat Brian Kelly, who a lot of people consider one of the best X's O's coaches in the country, regardless if you like him or not. Brian Kelly's a hell of a coach, and he's beaten both of them. And you're coming in the shadow of Saban year one. And man, let's be real. There's some serious controversy in the middle of the year. You lose at Vanderbilt and Bama fan. I mean, you don't know how the hell to accept that. That's not something that happens at Alabama. In year one, Saban's not losing to Vandy. Man, you want to talk about the noise that grew that week. You're hearing that there's cancer players on the team. There's all kind of shit leaking out that's just horrible, that could absolutely derail a program in year one under a brand new coach who's taken over for the greatest coach to ever live. That was such a pivotal moment for this program and his tenure as a coach in this program, where that outside noise could have ate him up, and he said, hell with this. I'm going to ride this out. We'll get the buyout, and I'll go back up in Washington. But instead, they turned off the noise, it seems like to me, and got in that program, brought it together. Because if you're looking at some of the names people were talking about being problem childs in that locker room, they're the absolute freaking leaders on that field tonight. Jahad Campbell was a freaking madman. Malachi Moore has been all over the field all year and just been a consummate team player, coaching his guys up. I mean, I feel like this. I mean, I feel like he's in a great spot, because he was in a predicament at one point that a lot of people would have been eaten by, where the Alabama media is as tough, and fan base is as tough as there are anywhere in the country as far as expectations and what's expected of you. And for him to not let that beat him down, and then to come back and start winning, you get that Missouri moment. And then it wasn't just the Missouri game, it was the end of the game, the emotions from the players and everything you saw on the field. And then to capitalize on that in Baton Rouge. I mean, Again, I was excited about DeBoer because of his history of winning. And now seeing it unfold in this new era of college football, I don't care about the Vanderbilt loss. I don't care about, the weird shit that happens, the Tennessee loss on the road. That's going to happen in this new age of college football. What I care about was his ability to bring this program and this team back together, and what we've seen on the field the last two ball games. And what we've seen is a team that can win it all. Shit can happen, but no, this is a team that can absolutely compete for it all. So no, I'm absolutely thrilled in the direction of Kalen DeBoer. He's proved what he is. He's a damn winner.
You're absolutely right.
I got a question. Has anybody checked on Booger McFarland?
Oh, no, go ahead.
That's Sishi's BFF.
No, it's not. No, it is not. Y'all know I call him a Ninja Turtle, but you know.
Well, I'm going to hold off on the other question I have for next week. I'll let the shows respectively answer this question, and I'll release that next week. So be on the lookout for that. But what we are going to talk about are the players of the game. There are so many who contributed to this overwhelming victory, but we're going to try our best to narrow it down to a player on each side of the ball. Start us out, Dan, then Sishi, and then Petty.
Offensive player of the game, Jalen Milroe, of course, without a doubt. Another record-setting performance from him. You know, he continued to lead marks in the Alabama record books. Tremendous game from him. Defensive side of the ball, I got to go with Jahad Campbell. Led the team in tackles, had 1.5 sacks. You know, he was all over the field, thumping, you know, filling the run. You know, I think he played his best game to date.
All right. See.
Well, you know how I like to have two on both sides. So
Go right ahead.
I know. I mean, it's just a lot of times, especially a game like that. Come on, like you can't, it's not going to be just one. That's just hard. But, you know, and I don't like to follow rules. So on offense, I had to throw that in there. On offense, I would, of course, say Jalen Milroe, but then also Jam Miller. And then on deep, because I feel like he set up a lot of key plays. And then on defense, I would have to say Jahad Campbell and Bray Hubbard. And I'm going to say this, too, because I saw people talking about how they were throwing trash on the field. And, you know, Texas had to show out, you know, when they played Georgia, whining and crying and throwing trash on the field as well. One of the quickest ways to mitigate that, the same people that run out there to take that trash off the field, they should throw it right back up there. I bet they're gonna stop then. I would toss some bottles right back up there, and whoever it hits, and they're gonna start snitching because it's gonna hit the wrong people, and they're gonna start pointing out who was actually I would turn around and throw that mess right back up there. Like, don't throw that. No, that's so disrespectful.
Let me say this.
Species justice. I love it.
Love it.
Trash on the field. The trash was already on the field.
Ooh.
Dan. It was already on the field.
Purple shirts, yellow britches.
They throw them bottles out, unleash some things right back up there. Like, okay, or look, have them come down after the game and clean up that entire stadium. Like, no,
I love it.
Absolutely not. That's disgusting. Ew. Thank you. No, I'm not. Look. I'm for real. That's imagine if that would hit you and the cheerleaders have to hold their sign over their head. Like what? I wouldn't hold one. I'd be like, let one of them hit me.
You mean like what happened when Ole Miss played down there a few weeks ago and they gave all their crazy bastards Taylor Swift armbands and the cheerleaders had to hold their signs over their heads because they were all being thrown onto the field.
Oh my gosh.
That's serious. Lucky they didn't turn it into a damn Carney Taylor Swift concert this week. They had to finally quit that shit.
They knew it was over at that point anyway.
It's them. They're the problem. It's them. Oh, my bad.
Purple skirts and yellow britches.
Petty, who are your players of the game?
Man, you got to give it. Look, all the pressure was on one man on offense, and all the talk was could he handle it? And he went down there and answered the bell. If you can't, you got to give it to Jalen Milroe. He took charge tonight. He ran with authority. He made the right reads on the RPO. 12 of 18 pass. I mean, he was efficient in the pass game when they needed him to be. When you needed those passes, no doubt, Milroe got to go with the kid. He played a great game tonight. I hate to echo, but Campbell was just. There was a lot of guys that I thought played good. Bray Hubbard is turning more and more. I feel like he's God, man, that kid's he's just turning into a baller in front of our eyes. But Campbell and Milroe, those were the leaders tonight.
Couldn't agree more. Like for me, I got to echo the same thing. Jalen Milroe offense. If I was to have a part B, Parker Brailsford, man, what a difference maker he's been in the overall execution of the offense. And then on defense, Jahad Campbell, but also Deontay Lawson. Got to give him his flowers. He made a difference in this game tonight too. Well, folks, we have come to the end of our little party. So what we like to do is go around the room and tell folks how they can find you and then also promote your shows as well. We're going to start out with Petty, then down to Sishi and Dan.
You can find me on Twitter at Petty_Daniel, on Facebook at Daniel Petty. It's Pettey, that extra E for excellence. And you can find me here on Mondays, the opening kick with the guy that was with us earlier, Smoke Dixon, at 7 Central. Y'all like that, didn't y'all? 7 Central. Opening kick, we're going to be talking college football. We'll talk a little bit of everything. I'm going to eat smoke. I'm going to make Smoke eat some crow this week because
I was about to say, you going to eat smoke?
Yeah, boy, that came out. Woo! Way too much LSU stuff and crazy.
No did
tonight.
Yeah, I know.
No did he. And then on Tuesday nights with my boy Dan down there, we're the final whistle at 8 Central. Check us out, man. It's Matt Caddell, Chris James, Dan's little less talented, less good looking brother. Lushawn Graves, Ty Hayes. As always, man, we'll be cutting up, talking a little Bama, going into the off week. I'm sure we'll talk recruiting. We'll probably talk a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about everything, man. There's going to be stuff to wrap on, but check us out Tuesday, final whistle, 8 Central.
All right. Cannot wait. See she.
Yes, you can find me here on the Bama Standard Network. I host a show called Crimson Dynasty every Wednesday night right here, and it airs 6:30 Eastern or 6:30 Central Standard Time, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I have one of my co-hosts actually here, Dan, so he's there as well every Wednesday night, and then also JB from Sunday Nights Talking Bama. And then you can find me on Instagram at beauty_of_intelligence and on X official She without the apostrophe.
Dan James, the star, started this show out. He's going to close the show out. What you got for the folks?
Yeah, you can catch me on X at the Final Whistle Dan. You catch me on Instagram, Dan James the Fourth. Every Tuesday night with my guy Petty up here. Final Whistle, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. On Wednesday nights, you catch me with Cici right here. The Crimson Dynasty, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central. On Saturdays, immediately following Alabama football game, you catch me right here on this show, the Bama post game show. You know, y'all be safe. Have another safe week. It's Mercer week, so y'all take the week off.
Saban just rolled over in his
yes, he did, man. You're about to get a phone call.
Yeah.
But I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. We would not be able to do what we do without you, the fans. We love to celebrate with you, and we definitely did accomplish that tonight. Thank you to everyone who gave via Super Chats. We don't ask for it, but we're definitely grateful when you do provide it. Thank you most importantly for your time. That's probably the most valuable resource that you share with us. And I thank you to our sponsors, Title Towel. Remember to go grab your Title Towel today after the show. Of course, that is if you are still awake. We'll close up shop, but WhitWillSports.com, that's how you find them. And also thank you so much to a Lamstone Company for giving us this platform. They're rock stars as well. For us, we are done, but we will see all of you in our respective shows next week. Until then, folks, roll tide.
Yeah, Lamstone, throw me a rock so I can put up a prop for you.
Hey, suck that bell.